Hi, I'm Danelle Au. I'm CMO at Ordr. I'm super excited to be here with Pandian Gnanaprakasam, who is our co-founder and chief product officer. We have an Ordr Clinical Defender 8.1 release. And Pandian, I know it's an 8.1 release, but my goodness, there's so many amazing features in it. This feels like a major release. Can you tell me about what problems are we trying to solve, and what are the key features that we're delivering?
Good, thanks, Danelle. In this release, we are putting a major focus on vulnerability management. In the hospitals, vulnerability management are very different and very complex and very involved relative to any other enterprise that you can see. I think the hospitals are also having too many vulnerabilities, and they are moving away from vulnerability assessment to management so that you can remediate and then recover faster so that they can reduce the exposure.
Right. And so I see that there are several things that we're trying to address, right? Making sure the HCM teams see every device, because in order to secure any device, you need to have visibility into every device. And so one of the things that we're introducing is the software inventory collector, and we're also integrating with CrowdStrike. So can you tell me about that feature?
Yeah, so the modern hospitals are expanding their boundaries. They are moving to data center and cloud on the one side, remote clinic, remote hospitals, telemedicine, and all of that. So what our customers have asked us is, hey, it's not only that you guys are doing a whole hospital tracking of IT, IoT, and medical. Now, what happens? My doctor is accessing our medical resources using a laptop from some other Starbucks. So, but he has to make sure that he's running the latest code and his operating system is not compromised. How do you do that? So we came out with a very nifty operating system-based feature that works on Windows and Linux and Mac, that it's a little bit of enablement that it travels with the Mac or laptop. And then it constantly sends us software inventory 2 times a day. Software inventory means, what software is installed, what is the latest patch level, what is the KB article, is it running CrowdStrike or antivirus, when was the last update? There's a number of things you can glean so that it is kept up to date in terms of digital hygiene as well as posture. In terms of posture management, you need to track all the devices all the time. Connected, non-connected, 24/7, off the grid, on the grid,
behind VPN, right?
VPN, inside the enterprise data center. The good news is because this operating feature runs with the machine, it dials back to the headquarters of the hospital, even though it is VPN using the client's credential, and continuously updating our telemetry collector about this so that we know exactly what is going on. So tomorrow, there is a small piece of software that comes and it has got a malware. You can query using our platform saying how many devices, no matter what, it's gone for 15 days and he's still working from home. How many devices have this particular piece of software living there? That's why we call it software inventory on top of the hardware inventory we always used to do.
Awesome. And so we've gone from complete visibility into every device. The other thing that the HCM teams need to focus on is like just the devices that are under their management, under their business functions, the ones that they're responsible for. Because clearly they're swamped. They're managing hundreds and thousands of devices in a hospital. And so we are putting enhancements to our very popular data shaper to add these capabilities. So they're going from seeing everything, but then focusing on the insights and the vulnerabilities that matter to them.
So the way that what we have done is, in a large hospital, actually, to be honest, there is a lot of people and process and program management, especially for medium and small hospitals. Everybody wants to know what is my task. For example, a biomed guy responsible for CT scan, he wants to manage vulnerabilities for CT scan. There is somebody who is working on nurse calling batches. Somebody is working on infusion pumps, that infusion pumps are always. So what happens is, instead of saying you have this many vulnerabilities, it's a vulnerability is a byproduct. Total number of devices, I don't know, medically 20,000 medical devices, each one has got 800 vulnerabilities. That's a multiplication, is huge. It's impossible to manage. So the number one thing that they wanted to do was, first of all, the vulnerabilities has to be assigned to region and location. if there are 3-4 hospitals. Inside the hospital, there's cancer center, there's ER, OR, we have to assign to that particular department. Inside the department, you have ownership. I am responsible for this, I am responsible for that. Yeah, I am a VoIP media guy. It's a phone inside the operating room. I need to be responsible for that. So what happens is the ability to distribute these vulnerabilities into each ownership so that each one knows exactly what is the next 30-day goal and works on that vulnerability. And also, if I know what I'm supposed to work on, I can prioritize. Hey, this particular set of devices are not going to get patches from manufacturer, then I will put it aside, right? I will put it into a group and I don't want to see it. But these devices, I want to focus on the next 30 days. I'll put it into a group. I work on it. So you need to build a workflow. How do we assign vulnerabilities? What is mine? Every day I log in. I only want to see those vulnerabilities. I don't want to see anything else. Too much information is clutter. So how do we create this? It's like individualistic, personalized views so that they can work on vulnerabilities assigned to them for their own ownership and then remediate them. And then they have due dates, owners, they have tags to say, hey, John, you take care of this from now onwards. I did something. How do I move this vulnerability management from one person to the other person in terms of workflow? We have put all of those features with special dashboards and special reporting, all of that.
And that brings us to that last overarching functionality, which is that gets us to the whole life cycle, full life cycle vulnerability management. So now they know the insights that are important to them. They're prioritizing the vulnerabilities based on clinical risk scoring, right? And then they're managing workflows. There's custom tags where they can assign it to the right people and get through that whole painful but very important mitigation process.
The one thing that Danelle, you mentioned clinical risk. So far, this is why we say hospital is different, hospital is different. Because if it affects my CT scanner versus a CR machine versus a ordinary workstation, if it affects my PACS server, which has got thousands of imaging records, right? There is differences. So what we have done is we are very, very good at cyber risk. Cyber risk is about so many factors, the vulnerabilities, phishing attacks, internal lateral movement, malware. There's so many things going on in cyber attack. But what we have done is special focus on top of cyber. We have given clinical risk, which means, hey, which environment you're operating? Is this segmented? Is it isolated? Is it mixed? Is this everybody is talking to everything and then you are in a polluted environment? That's number one. Number two is it's also physical risk. This is going to cause harm to the patient. You have to take care of them. Number one, if it is a stroke protocol center versus outpatient center versus research, which is nice, but it's okay. Research is not that critical. So things like that, other mitigated. And then, sometimes we take information from SBOM, MDS2, and all of those things, and how much PHI you are storing and transmitting, whether you're doing an unencrypted transfer, all of those things. So if you put all of those things together, so we have made it very easy for customers to go and customize it according to their needs, and then, assign criticality. If something is not that severe, lower the severity. If something is super severe, higher it. If something is postponed it with a note. So we have given all that facility to manage it. Clinical risk is extremely important because that makes it patient context so that the patient care can continue without disturbance.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. So the whole goal now is that there's better efficiency and so it's smoother hospital operations, but at the end of the day, it's all about patient care. And so ultimately with these new features within the 8.1 release, the goal is that we can better safely enable patient care within the hospital.
Got it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Pandian, for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.